You're running late. You text, "I'm 5 minutes away." You haven't left the house. You're not even wearing shoes. It's not a real lie. You tell yourself, it's just easier. And here's the uncomfortable truth that researchers keep finding when they actually measure this. Ordinary, honest people, people who would never steal or cheat, tell small lies many times a day, often without even noticing they're doing it. So if we're basically good, why do we lie all the time? The first thing to understand is that not all lies are the same animal. There's the cold, calculated lie meant to take something from you, and that's rare. And then there's the constant trickle of tiny untruths that grease the gears of everyday life. "I love it," you say about a gift you'll never use. "No, you look great." "I'm fine." "So good to see you." These aren't acts of betrayal. They're social glue, and your brain reaches for them automatically because they solve a problem that honesty creates. Because here's the thing about the full, naked truth. It's expensive. If you said exactly what you thought, every time, to everyone, your relationships would not survive the week. Imagine telling your friend their new haircut is a genuine disaster, telling your coworker their idea is boring, telling your relative their cooking is hard to swallow. All true, perhaps. All catastrophic. So the brain runs a quiet calculation, faster than thought. Will the truth here build connection or break it? And when the answer is break it, most people, most of the time, choose the small lie that keeps the bond intact. This is why scientists often describe everyday lying as a social skill rather than a moral failing. Children who learn to lie are actually hitting a developmental milestone. To tell even a simple lie, a child has to understand that other people have their own minds, their own beliefs, separate from reality, and that those beliefs can be shaped. That's an enormous cognitive leap. The ability to lie and the ability to empathize grow from the same root. The capacity to imagine what's happening inside someone else's head. Now think about the most common lies of all. They're not about hiding crimes. They're about protecting feelings. Yours and theirs. We lie to spare people pain. "Yes, I got your message," when you forgot. We lie to avoid conflict. "Sure, no problem," when it is in fact a problem. And we lie, constantly, to protect our own image. This is the big one, and it runs deeper than people realize. Every one of us carries a story about who we are. Competent, kind, honest, on time. And the brain works very hard to keep that story intact, because a threat to your self-image feels almost like a threat to your survival. So when reality and your self-image collide, the lie smooths it over. You didn't fail to finish the work. The instructions were unclear. You're not late because you mismanaged your morning. The traffic was terrible. Half the time, you're not even lying to the other person. You're lying to yourself first, and they just happen to be in the room. There's a fascinating finding about this. Researchers can watch what happens in the brain when people lie repeatedly, and they see something unsettling. The emotional discomfort that comes with lying, that little internal wince, gets quieter each time you do it. The first small lie feels bad. The 100th barely registers. The brain adapts, which is why little lies, left unchecked, can slowly grow into bigger ones, not because the person became evil overnight, but because the alarm that should have stopped them got worn down through use. But let's be fair to ourselves, because most everyday lying never goes down that road. Most of it stays exactly where it belongs, in the realm of kindness and social ease. When you tell someone their presentation went well, when you laugh at a joke that wasn't funny, when you say you're doing okay to a stranger who asked out of politeness, you are performing a small act of social maintenance. You're saying, "I value this interaction more than I value being technically accurate." You're choosing the relationship over the raw fact. There's even a name for the heavy version of this, the lie that costs you to tell. A genuinely kind lie often takes effort, because you have to override your instinct toward honesty in order to protect someone else. That's not the same as the lazy lie that protects only you. The difference matters. One is generosity. The other is avoidance. And most of us, if we're honest, do both, depending on the day. Here's something that should make you a little humbler about the whole subject. We are terrible at catching lies. People believe they can read a liar, the shifting eyes, the fidgeting, the nervous laugh. Decades of research say we're barely better than a coin flip at telling truth from lies, even people whose job is supposedly to detect deception. The tells we trust are mostly myths. Nervous, honest people look guilty, and calm, practiced liars look sincere, which means the social world runs on far more untruth than any of us can actually see, and most of it slides by completely undetected, doing its quiet work of keeping everything smooth. And then there's the sneakiest form of all, the lie, where you don't say anything false at all. You just leave things out. You don't mention the part that would change the picture. You let someone believe something convenient by simply not correcting it. The brain loves this one because it feels less like lying. You can tell yourself, I never actually said anything untrue, but the intent is identical, to manage what someone else believes, and we reach for it precisely because it lets us deceive while keeping our self-image as an honest person intact. That's the lie aimed inward again. The story that you didn't really lie, you just stayed quiet. So why do we lie even when we don't have to? Because we almost always have a reason, even a tiny one, to be liked, to be left alone, to keep the peace, to seem a little better than we are, to stop someone from feeling hurt. The brain treats smooth social bonds as essential, because for our ancestors they literally were, and it will quietly bend the truth to protect those bonds without ever asking your permission. Here's the part worth sitting with, though. The same instinct that lets you tell a kind white lie is the instinct that, unwatched, lets you lie to yourself about the things that matter. The story you tell about why the relationship failed, why the goal slipped away, why it's always someone else's fault. Those lies feel exactly as comfortable as the small ones, and they're far more dangerous because no one's there to call them out. The lies we tell other people cost us a little honesty. The lies we tell ourselves can cost us years. So the next time you catch yourself in one of those automatic little untruths, don't panic about your character. You're not a bad person. You're a social creature running ancient software that values connection over accuracy. And most of the time, that software is doing something quietly kind. Just keep an eye on the lies that point inward. Be generous with the small lies that protect other people. And be ruthlessly honest with yourself about the big ones, the stories you tell to protect who you think you are. Because we don't usually lie because we're cruel. We lie because the truth is expensive, and we're trying, clumsily, to be kind. The trick is making sure the person you're kindest to with the truth is you.